Right.
Oh, I would love to know how many times I've been here before.
Well, I feel there's a combination of things, right? And there's never just one way or another. It's like there's many ways. There's 1,000. I tell a lot of clients that there's 1,001 things. This is how I see it. This is how I'm able to connect and trust the messages that come through. I do feel like we set goals, not day-to-day goals, but we have outlines of like, this is what I want to learn next time. Hey, I want to come back and you know what? You're going to be my brother next time, or you're going to be my sister, or whatever. That's where gender definitely flows too. I like to share that a lot with folks in session where I'm like, gender is very fluid in spirit. Like just because it was your dad, it doesn't mean you won't come back as a woman. Like, that's why a lot of folks feel like they're in the wrong body is because their spirit may be more masculine or feminine, but we have both of those within us, within our spirit. Spirit is fluid, right?
Everybody, my name is Misti Gaither, and welcome to Quest, a journey into true crime and the paranormal. I'm really excited to have my guest here tonight, Cheyanne Dise.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
How you doing?
I love the way you say it.
Oh, no problem.
I'm fantastic. I'm happy to be here.
Good. And also my co-host Cory McLain is back, and good to have you back.
Thank you. It's been forever.
Seems like it. I think it's been a few weeks, but
It has.
Yeah, I digress. So we have you tonight, and like I always tell everybody, I'm on this journey to find out answers that I've been thinking of for a long time. That I want to know everything.
Yeah.
And so the best way that I feel that we should do it is just have guests like you who are experts or whatever on different subjects, and just go from there, and so that we all can learn and grow together.
Yes.
Tonight's topic is a topic that a lot of people don't want to talk about, that it really affects, brings up negative responses or fear or, uncertainty, and that subject is death. Right. Death.
Yes.
The unknown.
The unknown. And is it that we're, I sometimes wonder, because when I think about death, I think of when I was a child, and when it clicked in my mind that you're going to die one day, and it hit me.
Right.
I remember I just fell out of pieces, and I was about 7 or 8, which ironically was the time that my gifts started happening.
Right.
And so it was kind of like I didn't understand what was going on with the gifts, like me seeing things or hearing things. And then when it clicked that I was going to die one day, and it was just like it became like a paralyzing fear for me as a child. And so now as an adult, I feel like I am in the business, I guess, about death, because we're in cemeteries. We talk about spirits, and we talk about the other side, and we communicate with spirits, and it's like, okay, I got through the fear. There are lots of people that have not got through the fear. So you are what that they call a death doula.
I do that. And as a doula, it's mostly and commonly what I do personally in that work is hold space for the family while someone's passing. I'll be in the room while they're passing, things like that. And, making it into a space that's not everybody holding their breath and making sure things are flowing. Sometimes when I'm sitting there, I'll ask them, what was your favorite memory? So as this person's passing, they're hearing those things. I don't do death doula work as often as I used to because I'm a full-time evidential medium, and so that's been taking up a lot of my time and space. And when I lived in the Pacific Northwest, I did a lot more of the doula end of it, like work of it. I feel daily as a medium doing doula work. It's just different. I'm not there as they're passing. I'm there after the fact, and I'm able to still be there with the living and relay these messages from their loved ones and give you, like I said, I'm an evidential medium, so I can give you the evidence of your loved ones that have passed, be it blood relations, friends, things like that. Give you the pieces that's just not telling you, oh, grandma misses you or she baked cookies. I'm going to give you some details about things that happened. She did it throughout her life, throughout her journey or their journey. I'm going to also bring up stuff that they relay that has happened since they passed to confirm that they're there with you. And really just, I'm never trying to just prove anything except for here's the message and do what you will with it. Because I have a lot of people sit in my seat and say, sit down and the first thing they tell me is they're a skeptic, and I'm okay with that. I don't take it personal.
Right.
I get it. And so I just say, okay, I'm just the messenger. I'm going to let you know what I'm hearing, seeing, and feeling, and here we go. We're going to put a puzzle together for you. So you know who it is, and that's definitely where this work has taken me into a full-time space.
This was, I think, probably a couple of months ago, you invited me to come to the Healing Center.
Yes.
And you were doing the Day of the Dead, and it was really great, and I would like for you to talk some about that, how that you made the space for our grandmothers.
Yes, the great-grandmothers
Yes,
and grandmothers.
yes.
Yeah, so I do a lot of ritual installations, altar installations, and performances. And that particular one for this season, I felt it was important to acknowledge the great-grandmothers because they get forgotten. A lot of folks don't know their great-grandmother's name, and it was beautiful for 6 weeks leading up and building the installation. Anybody I talked to, if I ran into somebody at the grocery store, the bank, talked on the phone, obviously on social media, I was sharing it. People were like, oh, I'll never know my great-grandmother's name because, I'm in my 60s and I never knew it. I never met her. It was incredible, the messages I got from people that were like, 24 hours after I saw you, it just came up somehow, or I found it on, ancestry.com. And so I feel we wouldn't be here without them. And so to give breath to their name and their remembrance, and then these stories start coming out that some people did not know about them. So, there's a lot of folklore and history around different cultures using the spider as the grandmother, weaving the web. Yes, there we go. And so me and Salvador Geloso and Pandora of the Mudlark Puppet Theater, we created a collaboration installation, and we filled the room. We made homemade webs, and we put up. We had a large blanket that had been crocheted by Pandora's great grandmother. That's was really cool. And what we did was we invited people to come into the space for the night. And prior to the night's event, I had anybody online send me photos of their great grandmothers if they had them, maybe just their name if that's all they had. And I printed it all out, and it was part of the installation in the web. And the web was to show that we are still all we are all connected in some way, right? Even if we aren't aware of who they were, their name. That vibration, that web is connecting because we would not, again, be here without them. So yeah, we had the whole night, I think it was 6 hours.
It was a while.
Yeah, 6 hours we held space in there. And then I did a traveling web for October. So it started off at one space. That was the big space it was at, was where you were at the Healing Center. Mm-hmm. And then I moved it to my backyard where I do a 12-hour fire for our dead on November 2nd. So I start a fire at noon to midnight, and I set up an installation, and it's really like come and go as you please. And then after dark, I had musicians, and what we did is we sat around the fire, and each of us took turns, 2 or 3 at a time. And I said, okay, I get it. If you don't know your great grandmother, you never met her. I didn't meet mine either. But tell me a little something about your grandmother. And so everybody shared a memory, a story, and things like that. And it was really beautiful. And then, of course, as you do, as a practitioner, you throw everything in the fire at the end, and
that was it.
And we set up an altar so you could bring offerings. We share food and stories. It's really important to keep these stories alive for ourselves and for them too, because they can hear you. They're with us. So I don't know what other route you want me to go down, because I can keep going.
Well, I just wanted to say that I really enjoyed getting to write my great grandmother's name, and Catherine did hers also, and it was just really because it didn't really click with me. I always thought that I had got my gift because it's it passes down from my grandmother,
right?
But, of course she had to get it from somebody,
of
whatever.
Course.
And then I had the privilege of being around my great grandmother a little bit, but that took me back of stories that my grandmother would tell me about her,
right,
and how she would see things and do things that people couldn't explain. And I was like, wait, that's where it would focus. Now I know that the focus would be her,
right?
Yeah.
And that was our whole that was our wish to create that for the season. We always focus on something different during the different seasons of the year, because I work a lot in the seasons, the wheel. And it just felt like, let's go to the great grandmothers.
Yeah, I think that was very good. Now, do you remember your great grandmother's name, or did you
I
get to
actually
meet
do.
her? Or?
It's Ethel Surrey.
Ooh.
I was the last one to see her alive. She died 2006 after Katrina.
Okay.
Yeah, so I had quite a few years from her.
And guess what? My great grandmother's name was also Ethel.
Stop it.
I swear.
Mine was Esther, but hey.
Hey, an E.
Yeah,
An
check
E.
that out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's incredible.
yeah. Mine was a full-blooded Cajun and talked Cajun and.
Mine was a Metairie Catholic
Gotcha. Well, there you go.
who did rosary at 4 o'clock in the morning and 5 o'clock in the evening and went to sleep at 6.
And then, it's the interesting thing. You have 4 great grandmothers. And that was the other thing that came up. We kind of focus on the one that we knew or whatnot. I still have one. I've got 3 that I've worked with over the last 10 years, like where I've intentionally brought them up. I have 1 more to go and then I'll go to the next step of the great grandmothers. But there's 4.
Okay, now why?
I remember the other one too.
Why? Okay, you remember your other
Helen
one?
Warren.
Okay.
Yep, she recently passed away in 2017.
Wow, how old
Wow,
was she?
look at that.
Oh gosh, I have no idea. All I know is she was a chain smoker,
All right.
and it was cancer that took her out late in life.
Yeah,
Late in life, but yeah, I had that privilege of at least meeting 2 of them.
that's great. It's just work to do. It's continuous. So
I just really
Yeah.
appreciated, just getting to
Of course.
relive that and go back and and
I was thinking about it the entire time you were talking. I'm like, my gosh, I met him. I was focusing on her, Ethel, but Helen too. 'Cause you never, in my family, it wasn't called grandma. It was mama and great grandma would be grandma's mom. It was all messed up. We never called them what they were supposed to be.
right.
Mama, grandma,
They answered.
mama, Helen.
Right, yeah. That's one of the most important things that you can do is, even though some people believe that when you die, that's it.
Yeah.
Right.
And your ancestors, and when you, put the rose or whatever that you do, the dirt, and, that's the end of everything. But it's like you can still honor them. They can, they're still around you.
Oh, yeah.
And it's important to say their names
Yeah.
and to remember them like on special occasions, and not just on birthdays or anything like that, just any time and they're there.
Well, not to bring a fictional movie into it, but if you've watched the movie Coco,
Yeah,
right? Once somebody's memory is forgotten,
that's it.
that's it. They
So that's
perish.
part of the reason why you say their name and give them breath and memory. What I witness a lot as a medium is we pass, and it's a little bit like when a baby's born. It takes 2 years or so to walk and talk on your own. And when you pass, there's a processing stage. And I feel when that processing stage is finished, you can stay on the other side and figure out like, okay, I'm going to guide you now because you're still here. I'm going to stay over for a few generations because being human is very difficult. It's a big decision to make from the other side. And I firmly believe that's why there's miscarriages and stuff, because I feel some spirits are like, all right, I'm ready. And then halfway through or whatnot, or in the beginning, they're like, you know what?
I remember
not.
that. I'm not going back.
Right.
Right.
And so, sometimes some spirits are like, give me another round, I'm ready. And so,
I don't think I would.
I feel these are our spirit lessons that we learn, and that's what we're doing when we're processing. We're figuring out what lessons we've learned, what we'll do again and what we won't do again. And then we have our soul cluster, and our soul cluster here is blood relations, partners, lovers, best friends, maybe a neighbor you live next to for 20 years and are connected to. People that have been very prominent in your life. They may not be in your life forever while you're here, but they made a difference in your life, right? And I believe we all have different roles we can come back as. Like sometimes we come back as parents, sometimes we're siblings, sometimes we're lovers. And it's because we have these lessons to learn from each other. And that's why sometimes you'll meet somebody and you're like, God, if I would have met you before, I wouldn't have appreciated you. And, we needed to have these experiences before we reconnected again. So.
Oh, no. If you were to give me the chance today, or at least in this lifetime right now, I'd be like, nope, I'll stay on the other side. I'll hang out. I'll help whoever needs to help, but I'm not coming back.
Right.
Forget this.
And that's all your choice. Yeah. So, yeah. And that's because maybe you've already been here 45 times and you're done,
Probably so.
That makes me think about one of my recent guests that I had about the numerology, that I was talking about your name and the numbers, and I don't understand all the creation of it, but he was explaining, and so I was like, okay, so are you predestined based on the numbers of what you're going to, how you're going to be, or or does that just make you lean more towards something instead of saying, okay, Misti, you're going to be a doctor?
Right.
and then I wish, but but like you're
Be a
going to be,
paranormal
yeah,
doctor.
yeah, hey, there we go. Like you're going to be a doctor, and there's nothing that's going to change because the numbers and everything lines up. But it's not that it's in stone. I mean, that's
Nothing
what
is
I'm
set in
trying.
stone.
That's what I'm trying to
And
understand. Like, how does that would you say that would work? It is stuff to it because the numerology is the things that he told me, because like I said, he did my my numbers, and it was really spot on. And so it is something to it. I just like it, and he was saying like how your numbers are is the number of times that you've been
right,
here before.
right.
Oh, I would love to know how many times I've
Yeah.
been here before. That would be incredible.
Like 2. No, I don't know.
Well, I feel there's a combination of things, right? And there's never just one way or another. It's like there's many ways. There's 1,000. I tell a lot of clients that there's 1,001 things. This is how I see it. This is how I'm able to connect and trust the messages that come through. But I do feel there is a lot to do with numbers, planetary, and what's your plan when you get back down here, right? So those are all just going to be cosmically aligned when you come down. I do feel like we set goals, not day-to-day goals, but we have outlines of like, this is what I want to learn next time. Hey, I want to come back and you know what? You're going to be my brother next time, or you're going to be my sister, or whatever. That's where gender definitely flows too. I like to share that a lot with folks in session where I'm like, gender is very fluid in spirit. Like just because it was your dad, it doesn't mean you won't come back as a woman. Like, that's why a lot of folks feel like they're in the wrong body, is because their spirit may be more masculine or feminine, but we have both of those within us, within our spirit. Spirit is fluid, right? So, I feel like, yeah, we set these goals and like, let's come back this way, or, hey, let's meet at this funny bar in the middle of nowhere. And it'll be random, and it'll be hot and heavy for a month, and that's it. But that's going to be our connection next time we come back. And I do believe some spirits like, you know what, because there's a big difference between spirit guide. I feel like there's 6 layers that we keep, and if we're paying attention and being intentional, we have 6, I envision about 6 rings around me, like me in the center, the ancestors, the gatekeeper, the body keeper, the tender, the spirit guide. There's like those layers, right? And so a spirit guide and like an ancestor that's with you, that's 2 different things. A spirit guide is with you from the moment you were born until the day you die. Designated. So you may not want to come back, but when someone you love and you're connected to does, be like, okay, I'm staying over here, but I'll be your guide.
Yeah.
And so I believe those are some of the ways. There's many, many ways. Like I said, I don't think anything's one way or another, but this is what I feel to be true of what I witness after, I would say thousands of sessions, years of sessions. Sometimes I feel that that's what gives peace of knowing like the destiny of things, right? I've had friends wreck their motorcycles 3 times with no helmet and live. I've had another friend just walk into the bathroom and slip and fall and die, and they're 28. And you're like, what? And other friends that live well into their 60s and 70s partying hard, and other friends that are very healthy, they're going to the gym, they're vegan, just drop. So I feel that's where the outline comes in, where we have an outline before we get here. Of course, tend to your temple, to your body, and be healthy however you can. What does that mean? That's different for everybody.
Right.
Mental health, physical health, spiritual health. Those 3 are all connected.
And that's one of the subjects that we've talked about before, is spiritual hygiene.
Right.
And that's how important it is, not just to clean your body and everything, but to keep your spirit and everything going good and tuned up too.
Right. And keeping those boundaries, because if you know what's yours and what isn't, it's, my work that I do, I feel that is something that became very front seat for me, where, I know what's mine and what isn't. That's why I can tell somebody that's how their person passed away, because I know I'm not having a heart attack, or my foot's not hurting, or my head's being, I know what's mine and what isn't. And I feel like that's important for us to do in general, before we go into the French Quarter, take 3 deep breaths and be like, okay, this is me. And then when you leave, say, you know what, whatever's here, stay here. And I feel that's very, very important to do, especially when you're in places where I would just say that the realm of just say the French Quarter, or if you're in Las Vegas, there's certain spots. Every space has those chaos boxes, right? And we want to make sure we're mindful of that, because we are going in there and inebriating our bodies and stuff. And that's when spirits want to ride you. And then you're like, what's going on with me? And a lot of times it isn't you. It's something that attached itself or overshadowed you.
Right,
So,
that's what we call hitchhikers.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you know, that they'll just latch on and see. Because I had that, if you remember.
Yes.
That happened to me when I did a house blessing or cleansing. And it was
it was scary.
Yeah, it was really scary, and it was a difficult time, and it took a while, you know, and
I was texting you every day because I'm like, don't stop doing the things I suggested.
And she gave me some, you know,
9
things
days.
that you wouldn't think, for 9 days, that you wouldn't think that you would ever do, or, you know, like, I'm just talking about, like, remedies, and, you know, drink this tea, or, you know, do this and that, and it really, you know, you had to stick with it.
So I have to say this. You know what's funny about you mentioning the French Quarter and Vegas? And I don't know if you felt anything from me across the room. I lived in Vegas for 6 months and couldn't handle it because I drank way too much and partied way too much.
I bet.
And what do I do right now? I go out to the quarter.
Right, I was going to say,
and so I was like, she's talking about me over there?
Right.
What? She was looking at you.
But yeah, it's important. You know, I work closely with a lot of like herbs and plants and the medicinal properties, not just physically and mentally, but spiritually. So, you know, getting familiar, creating a relationship with specific herbs that you feel you could utilize, right? Like, I think I had you doing some ginger, and ginger represents fire. So the spirit, the medicinal spirit that is with each plant and thing, like the animism, has a job. And so its job is fire. And it's also, think about it, growing in the ground, rooted. It's going to ground you.
Yeah.
Right? And like, it's going to burn whatever needs to go, but also ignite you. So like, you know, when you were drinking those, remember I was like, you be very intentional and things like that. So, you know, a lot of folks think that like these remedies that are natural are just like, they are the OGs, right? Of medicine, of the things that we needed, what our great grandmothers and grandmothers beyond utilized, and it works. Even when I'm working with somebody that's under possession, I'm using these things and they're like thinking, you know, like, why would that work? And that's what's going to work. You know, there's a combination and it's consistency when we're doing any like depossessions, clearings, cleansings. It's not just like a one snap it, glap it.
Right.
I don't know what I'm saying. Snap it, glap it.
Yeah, that's a good
But,
one.
you know, it's consistency. Right. So, like, spirit wants to see you be consistent. Like, your guides want you to be consistent. So, Ilaju will, like, advise whatever's going on. It's always different prescriptions. But I think it was 9 days with you. And I checked in with you almost daily where I was like, you're doing it, right? Yes. You're doing it, right? Because I wanted to make sure. Because that was pretty scary. I was scared for you. I felt that, you know?
Mm-hmm. I'm more cautious now and, you know, take better precautions. And, you know, so that was I guess a lesson, you know, that I needed to learn, because you're not immune no matter what your gifts are or anything. You're not immune to things happening like that.
And this is, I think, part of the path, like the metaphysical paranormal path, is I think everybody has that moment, and that's how we learn. And that's how, when we have folks we're working with on the path that maybe haven't experienced that and are being a little reckless, you know, it's important to guide that. But also, I feel like it's part of the lessons. It's like almost like a rite of passage in a way, because I feel like it happens. Anyone that's going to be long-term in the paranormal work, you know, anyone that says they haven't experienced it or anything, it puzzles me, because I'm like, you're not, you know,
right.
But it's so important. It's not, you know, just let's go see if there's any activity here, but you've also got to go in and protect yourself. But also, wherever you are, the grocery store, if you're at work and you work with other people, their energy is going to bounce onto you. People can overshadow you without trying. If they're very much in a dark space or in a happy space, it doesn't have to be dark, you know, that's going to get on you too, right? And so I look at it as under a table, there might be some gum under here that we wouldn't think, because we're sitting here, it's nice and clean. But then I go to pick something up and I'm like, oh, there's a bunch of gum underneath the table, you know? And so the spiritual hygiene is like, let's clear that off and make sure that it's not sticking, because all of a sudden we become this big glump and we think it's us. And so, yes, it's good to check in with the mental health and the physical health. Like, have I been going for a walk, or have I been drinking water? Am I hydrating? You know, things like that. But also, like, making sure that you're just clearing yourself and claiming yourself, you know, is important.
Right, so let's just pause for a moment. I'm going to just give a big shout out to our sponsors.
Yes.
And then we'll get back talking about things, you know,
Yeah.
that we enjoy talking about.
Yes.
So I really appreciate our sponsors, and our show is sponsored by Chef Ron's Gumbo Stop, where I always say, go get a bowl of award-winning gumbo from an award-winning chef right there in Metairie. And we love Chef Ron's. And also, if you're around January the 23rd, we're having the Chef Ron's King Cake tasting with the Grand
annual
Revelers.
King Cake tasting.
Annual, that's right.
Right, this will be the second annual.
The second annual.
Wow.
So we're really excited about that. Everybody, you know, of course, here in New Orleans, you know, everybody has one of their places, their favorite king cake, and we say, well, this is the best. You got to try this.
Right.
So last year,
We had a fight over it.
yeah,
a couple days ago at work.
right. Last year, everybody brought which king cake that they thought was, you know, their personal best, and so they had a tasting and chose.
Oh, I know the answer to that. Easy.
Okay.
Mr. Gregory's king cake.
Oh, there you go. Well, maybe y'all can attend and bring one of Mr. Gregory's.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
I would love that.
Yeah, that would be cool. So be sure to go and check out Chef Ron. He has it's not just gumbo, but he has
Fried
red beans and
chicken.
rice, fried chicken, salads. Me and Cody, we go there and chow and
I
it's
always
really good.
say, if we owe you money, find us there.
Right. We'll
It'll
be
be
there
so easy.
with your money. No.
That we've already spent on
Right.
gumbo.
So also we're sponsored by the Haunted Hotel right there on Ursuline Street in New Orleans.
I was your first guest there.
Yes, you
wasn't I?
were. Yes. You were there, and it is definitely haunted.
Yeah.
You even picked up a spirit that I had picked up. Remember when they opened that door to
Yeah.
that closet, and it was just like whoosh.
Felt it.
It
Yeah.
was like, phew. I'm like, did you feel that? And you're like, yeah, it was a woman. I'm like, yes.
I cannot wait to join you on something like that.
Yeah, it's
That's
a lot
so
of fun.
interesting.
It's interesting. So you'll have to come and do it. But go to hauntedhotelnola.com and it gets you a night, stay a night or
Yeah.
two, and you could even stay in the room where allegedly the actual Axeman stayed.
Mm-mm.
Pretty
I
cool
stayed
room.
there in that room, and yes, it was really haunted. So go there. And we're also sponsored by on March the 23rd of this year, believe it or not, New Iberia is having a Paracon
All the way out in Cajun country.
in Cajun country. That's right.
Yes.
It's a lot of
Yes, baby.
large, like really big names in the paranormal field. Dave Schrader, Shane Pittman, Sarah Lemos.
Sarah came and did one of my ghost tours
Did she?
about 9 years ago. We've kept in contact.
Really? Well, you know what? She's supposed to be on the show.
What?
Yes.
Oh my god! I'll have to write her tonight and be like,
Would
guess
you?
what?
Yes. Tell her to come on.
Yeah, I was a ghost tour guide in Pike Place Market for 5
Okay.
years, and she went on my very last tour that I did.
Yeah.
And they were doing a paranormal cruise, so she was in town, so she had a whole group.
Nice.
It was cool, yeah.
Yeah, so she'll be there. So maybe you
Cool.
can go and y'all
Yeah.
can, and then I'll get to meet her in person also, and so that would be
She's
cool.
awesome, yeah.
She is, and I really enjoy the shows that she's on. And,
Yeah, the
and-
Ghost Town in Montana one.
Yes,
I love that one.
yes, it had their second season.
Yes.
I really enjoy that. So everybody, thank you so much for our sponsors, and now back to the show. So we talked about different ways that we can honor those that are past, and how that things are handed down, and that that through life, death is also a part of life.
Right. It's inevitable, and
Nobody gets out of this life alive.
no. And I think that something happened in the American culture, because if you go to any other culture, European, Japanese, Mexico, Africa, they very much honor the dead.
Oh yeah.
And we are a country that basically swept it under the rug and was told for many, many decades that, like, you don't speak of the dead, you don't do this of the dead. And I know that I've personally witnessed, like, the last 20 years solid, I've been in death work.
Mm-hmm.
I hosted a monthly show that was around mourning, and I would talk about mourning traditions. Like, just all of my work has somehow always... I was a ghost tour guide in Pike Place Market in the Kale's Irish Pub. I was the only one that took groups in there for
Which
5
is also haunted. The Kale's Irish Pub is very haunted.
I was the guide that took all the groups
Okay,
in.
well there you go. Yeah,
And
I was
I've gone in there
yeah.
at least like over 500 times.
Wow.
And there was no electricity, so I would take groups in there for 45 minutes. That's why I took Sarah.
Okay.
Lots of experiences in there. Wow. Everything I do has somehow revolved around death. And sitting here listening to you talking about being a child and realizing death, I was trying to think of, like, have I ever feared death? I think I am older now because I want to be with my kids as long as I can. But, like, even, like, it's not that I want to die, but I do know from the work that I do that it's freaking awesome over there, so I do feel like do the most that you can do while you're here, because we're not guaranteed. One of my favorite quotes is, we all die. The goal is not to live forever, but to create something that will. How can we create things that can be still spoken of after we die? How can we serve community? How can we serve family? How can we show up so that like those things are remembered, right? It could be a park bench with your name on it, and every time someone sits on it for 100 years, oh look, this was Misti's seat.
Right.
Right. And so it's that idea, like Coco, that's a great big platform that shared that. That was an important cartoon, I feel, animation movie that really helped with like a whole new generation of kids and even their parents. And also expanding on, that is not the only place that does Day of the Dead is Mexico.
Right.
They have a very special celebration for it. But like if you look into any culture besides America, there is that whole window right there of like October 29th to November 5th. Hundreds, thousands of years, there's always been that time of year like that, that's honored. And it starts in Lughnasadh, which is in August, where the funeral games started. And that's how the Olympics began. But the funeral games, they would do, anyone that passed that year prior, they would do these athletic notions or performances in their honor.
Oh, okay.
And so I always feel like that vibe, that honoring those thoughts, that's when I start getting inspired of what I'm going to do with community for the week of October 29th to November 5th is in August always. And when I learned that, I'm like, oh, it makes so much sense. But yeah, the funeral games start in August. And if you think about it, historically, it's like a heights, right? We got hurricane season here. Mm-hmm. If you look at different times in history, it's when there's a heightened war, things like that. So I feel America, I'm going to say it just like that, America, because America has somehow, like, we're changing that. We are. Our generation and beyond is changing how we are with death. There's so many death doulas. The last 5 years, it's just like so common. Before, when I would tell people, they were like, what is that? And people are more like aware of it. And, there is a gift in, like, I would say social media, even television, for people to see, like, not everything that has to do with death is spooky. Like, that is something I've been passionate about, is like, can we make this not spooky? That's why our office is pink. You come to get a medium reading, we're in a pink room. We are like, here we go. Like, of course I'm a lifer. I'm in my 50s and I love death rock and goth stuff. But I also want it to be comfortable for everybody. When I'm in that space, I want to be able to have anybody that wants to come in feel comfortable with communicating and getting messages. It doesn't have to be doomy and gloomy and spooky and evil and demonic. And, that's a whole thing. Yes, that's true.
Well, right. I was going to say, I think that's exactly why in a young age, and even some adults are so scared of death, is because for so long you were taught, oh, it's heaven or hell. And if you do this and that, you're going straight to hell.
Right. That was me.
And that was me too.
Yeah.
I was terrified of dying because I'm 10 years old. Oh my God, I'm going where?
Right.
With what?
Right. And burn forever.
What?
Right.
And so like doing this with Misti, I'm learning, it's not always that.
Right.
There is positivity behind death.
Oh,
There's a journey that your spirit is on. It's not all just heaven, hell.
No.
That's the absolute end of it. End of discussion. Be scared.
Yeah. I mean, scientifically, we look at it. We're energy. Energy keeps going. Energy does not just die. Mm-hmm. It has to go somewhere else, right?
Right.
So let me ask you this in closing. How would you want to be remembered? We're talking about, going back. So how
we all die. The goal is not to live forever. But
right. But how would you like to be, like you said, like the park bench or the, like how, when people, like generations from you,
right.
How would you like for them, like how would you want to be remembered?
I would love to be remembered as somebody that helped connect the dead and the living. I'm hoping to be remembered through my art, through my dolls, and through my ritual performances that I've been doing for like 15 years. So I have somebody that's doing a case study on me from Brooklyn on the work I've done with the dead and how we can be creative and do ritual and put it in a space that's not just for the coven or for those other practitioners, but for everybody to be like, we can all grieve together. We're not alone. We can all trip the light fantastic and grow and expand and keep being curious and be seekers. That's the goal. So I'm hoping through my art and through my mediumship, that where my mediumship is now, I feel I that's one of my hopes, is that it be remembered, be it in a book somebody's like added me into, be it a show like this where somebody comes across this really cool show that was out of New Orleans. I've been reflecting a lot, if you've noticed on social media, where I'm like, I'm literally doing everything I wanted to do, that I wished for, I worked for, I had on my altar 10 years ago. I'm living in New Orleans. I'm talking to the dead on the 10th floor in a high rise above the old Storyville neighborhood. You know, I'm able to do all these really incredible things artistically that are, I want to inspire everyone to do their own thing. Like, I don't think I'm the only one that does this. I feel, here's some seeds. I want to give them to you. You plant your garden, and you plant your garden. I want us all to grow. It makes me feel emotional. Like, I want us all to be comfortable too with death and knowing that it's not something to fear. So live big. You know, live big. It's inevitable. I could leave here tonight and that's it. Maybe I don't wake up in the morning. Maybe I get in a car accident. And if I was just lazy and didn't want to come here tonight, I would miss the chance to be here with you. So I try to take whatever I can, opportunities, connections with others, and reach out. And that's what I hope to be remembered by, you know, is that, you know, I basically am here to love and to hand out seeds and hoping that the best for everybody around me.
I think that's beautiful. Now, could you just tell everybody real quick how they could get in touch with you?
Yes. Kook Teflon, KOOKTEFLON is my like performance and artistic name. And also Cheyanne Dise, CHEYANNE. DISE, and I have an office downtown. I'm colleagues with Carrie Roy. And if you, I guess, Google New Orleans Psychic Medium, you can book an in-person session with me there. Mm-hmm. And I also do house clearings. I also do groups. I do groups of medium sessions, or if you're having some friends over and you want to have tarot readings, I do psychic tarot. And it's just basically I feel over the last 20 years I've developed these things that I can do and offer as a service, and I'm happy to, and I love it. I enjoy what I do.
Yeah, so, you know, I really appreciate you being on the show. You always just a lot of wisdom. Yes. And just so knowledgeable about so many different things and so many different levels. You know, it's always a joy to talk to you.
Oh, I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. Well, thank you, everybody, for tuning in and watching the show. We will be back next week. Be sure to subscribe and hit that like button. And just remember, death is not the end.
Nope.
All right. Thank you so much.